people can be very, I guess, I avoided this for 3 nights in a row to talk about this. I might even put it private on my channel because it sickens me, and it's very it's like that whole thing with rivalry between Khabib and Conor McGregor. Those men weren't at full at war towards the end. I mean, they don't have to be. You don't have to be friends with somebody to not declare war. And I will say, right now there's blood boiling with a fight that will be happening this month, May 9th, which I probably won't watch this fight because I think, or everybody is stating that this fight should be either postponed. It shouldn't even happen. I will say, it's not tension that's rising. There's violence that is rising up to this fight. Really dying to train versus somebody that likes to fill the pot. They like to add on to the violation of I would say not so much disrespect, but yes, different cultures go through war differently, and this is not leading to a fight. This is leading up, unfortunately, to a lot of people, and myself included. It's leading to a war. I can sniff it in the air, but I'm gonna regurgitate it and let it go by not watching it. And honestly, I don't like what I'm hearing, and I don't. I respect culture and I love culture a lot. Even if you don't disagree or you often want to fight with somebody, you do it outside of the Pentagon. You can have a rival. You can have disres. I mean, a lot of the fights that do happen, like the one between Khabib and Conor McGregor, that was all Conor. Conor, as I said, was straightforward to having fame and to really pursuing his career fame, not looking back, not looking at his opponents. A win's a knockout. That is true. That is fucking true. But also fighting through your family's legacy. Especially having a parent that was one of the champions in Russia for Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes, yes, it matters of the harsh terrain you train in in what you endure. But when it results into something like this, I don't know whether to turn my head and freaking cry my eyes out right now. And I wasn't going to bring this up. I was going to have a good week. And this, honestly, this fight, I wouldn't even call it a fight anymore. I would rather see a fight being controlled. People fight to win. People also fight to lose. I mean, Mike Tyson, one of the, I would say, world champion. That man worked through his pain, through the loss of his mentor and the father that took him in as his own. You know, the fact this man was even accused of raping an 18-year-old girl and got 3 years of prison sentence and confined as not guilty. But this woman wanted, she targeted Tyson because she wanted fame. She used Tyson for her own financial struggles. But growing up, Tyson said he was incredibly poor. He had siblings as well. To get out of situations where you're in a city or a whole state full of crime. Tyson didn't move out of the. I mean, he got to escape the air, but the thing is, Tyson was like me in a lot of ways in school. The violence I saw and the abuse that I saw, I ran from it because I was scared. But it's definitely, it depends on the setting. And I ran because I was scared that these teachers were really going to hurt me. They were going to hurt me by threatening to call the police. It's not a feeling, it's the way people are. Because the police is every people that don't understand other people that might have a poor or very horrible background or home life, they're gonna treat you as a fucking monster. Nobody's blood should boil as much as mine is right now. Because the thing is, Strickland and this other guy that he's fighting trained together. They sparred together. I even heard they were even friends. I would have never had stated this in my life, but it is coming down to it. But those who want to get paid and fight in the ring, awesome. Awesome. Good luck. But those who want to push fighting into something more gruesome that could actually potentially have a short shot of meaning that the UFC may not exist. We need if people want to see UFC fights, let's make it exist. None of this controversial bullshit. Because fighting is fighting. You want to do it for your family legacy? Awesome. If you're trained and you want to pursue something like that in your career, awesome. If you want to do it because you did it in your blood and you're continuing that path, awesome. Hope it works out. But this fight, I feel like, is being poached from a fight to a full on war. I'm not one to dictate anybody or how this war is going to play out. But I did hear too that the White House might even get involved with this fight. And if that's something that they're considering, you can kind of see this isn't going to be a fight, a UFC fight. I mean, yes, different, grappling moves, the fighting style each fighter has that brings into a fight is interesting. It can be. But things like that often are controlled. If they are not controlled, because this is, I mean, a but that's the thing is half the shit, if you don't like what somebody else says to you, or if they're crossing any lines, let the UFC know, let Joe Rogan know. Between and I hate to even state this, but my grandfather was deployed in World War II, I believe, or was it World? I can't remember, but World War II. I mean, this is kind of exactly that. I mean, in World War II, there was dictators, there was people that were killed, and there was people who weren't innocent that were that were the that were killing people. But this fight is not going to be a fight, and that is not me dictating that. Especially since I heard that the White House might be involved in this ordeal. But if this is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen this month, they need to have control over this fight or call it off. Because that's the thing in World War II. And I hate to bring history because sometimes I don't want to see people get hurt, critically hurt. And I don't talk about politics if I know something is going to be in control. This fight doesn't sound like at all it's going to be in control. And the odds of that are very high at this point. Even Joe Rogan, what was it, post or did a video like hours ago that, he's like, he's also very fucking scared for this event that's happening this month. I'm very concerned that these two men are gonna walk out, one of or me both of them being dead, or one of them dying, or but I don't know how true it is about Sean being a ex um Nazi person, and I don't like mentioning Nazis, or but Nazis are not. I think Sean would be is a great human being, and I think that friendship between him and the guy, that he's fighting, I think they should be friends, and I think they should, even if they choose not to be friends, be acquaintances, knowing each other, training with each other. Maybe the interaction is very slim, but again, I'm not, that's the thing, as somebody that's never grew up or has witnessed war, I would never want to see it. I've heard about events that happened when I was a baby, like 9/11, which, as I said, killed. We look back at those events from 9/11. People that were killed in that event were not all American. A lot of them were, a lot of them were not. And it led to a tourist attack. But another thing I want to bring up, a lot of events that lead to other events are often linked throughout time. But 9/11 was a really bad event that occurred where these tourists that hijacked the planes, the suspects also died, but they were tourists, meaning that they were not from America. But what I want to know is the events that occurred after World War II, did it have to do anything with 9/11? But I want to know because events link to other events. Some not so much, but this seems to be too true. Because the thing is, when I think of a terrorist attack like that kills a crap tons of people, these guys who came, who were tourists, knew what they were doing. We don't know if they had a list of how many people were on each plane. I wouldn't be surprised. But could the events between World War II and 9/11 have some sort of connection? Were they linked together? Unfortunately, I will state it's unfair to even see anybody, people who were Nazis killing Jewish people. So that again, during World War II, shouldn't have been. Not, I mean, as I said, Nazis were bad people, and they were unfortunately controlled by a dictator, and one of the bad figures that led these soldiers into their success. I won't mention his name, but he is not alive. There was many wars that happened. I'm gonna go grab my phone. I'll be right back. If you're cold, honey, you need a sweatshirt on? You put that thing on a tray, right? Yeah. Good. Shoot. But I wanted to trace the year that World War II started. When did World War II start? It says World War II began on September 1st, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland, prompting Great Britain and France to declare war on Germany 2 days later. While this is the widely accepted start date, some historians argue the war began earlier with Japanese aggression in Asia, such as the invasion of Manchuria in 1931 or the Second Sino Japanese War in 1937. The invasion: Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. Declarations of war: Britain and France declared war on Germany on September 3rd, 1939. Global conflict: the war lasted 6 years, ending in 1945, and involved major actions in Europe, the Pacific, and Africa. Earlier conflicts: some perspectives consider the war to be the Japanese invasion of Manchuria on September 18th, 1931, or the start of the Second Sino Japanese War on July 7th, 1937. So this is when the U.S. got involved. The United States officially entered the war on December 8th, 1941, following the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Um, but let's see. but it says, so I looked up, I know I don't typically look up political figures, but it shows how. But that's the thing. Hitler, unfortunately, had so much struggle to defeat the Soviet Union, to defeat Russia. He knew he couldn't win. This man wanted to defeat, but it says here he struggled. This man kept attacking, and it's like pushing, but it wasn't more push, it was more he was struggling to outnumber, or really to defeat, because it says defeats the Soviet Union, that's Russia. But since, yep, yep, I am. Yep. But yeah, it showed. So the thing is, when you're destroying your own country, I mean, the fact that people who were Jewish were murdered, Roma people, and so I'm guessing Roma people means people from Romania, and the disabled meaning those who didn't have enough money to work, or who were disabled as in, not being, or not having enough money to work. But I feel like that's why people are so focused on oil right now. It's a resource, and could care less about animals, about people in this nation. But I will state that it is good to not define that you are disabled, especially if you want to be strong. Turn that disability into an ability. If you tell yourself that you're disabled or you have a disability, it could be it could be there could be unbalance towards two families. But yeah,